February 20th, 1942, 18,000 feet above the Pacific Ocean, near Rabaul. The sky looks calm, but it's already decided who will live and who won't. The sun hangs low, reflecting off the endless blue below. A formation of American fighters cuts through the air, engines roaring. Not fast, not graceful, just steady. Inside one of them, Lieutenant Commander John S. Thach tightens his grip on the control stick. His aircraft, the Grumman F4F Wildcat, heavy, slower, outclassed, at least on paper. Across the sky, slicing through the clouds like blades, come the Japanese fighters. Sleek, agile, feared. The deadly Mitsubishi A6M Zero. They don't just approach, they hunt. You can almost feel the tension building in the cockpit. Sweat forming despite the cold altitude. The sound of the engine vibrating through the metal frame. Thach knows exactly what's coming. Because everyone knows. The Zero can outturn the Wildcat. Outclimb it. Outfight it. And the Japanese pilots? They know it too. For months, stories had spread across the Pacific. American pilots being outmaneuvered, outmatched, shot down before they even understood what hit them. The Zero wasn't just an aircraft, it was a message. Speed wins. Agility wins. And the Wildcat? It looked like yesterday's machine flying into tomorrow's war. Japanese pilots often mocked it. Reports circulated of them describing the Wildcat as slow and clumsy. Some even toyed with American fighters mid-air, confident, almost arrogant. Why wouldn't they be? The Zero could turn tighter than anything in the sky. In a dogfight, that single advantage was everything. One mistake, one delayed reaction, and you were gone. No warning. No second chances. Inside his cockpit, Thach doesn't chase them. He doesn't turn. He doesn't panic. Instead, he waits. Because this fight won't be won by speed. Or by turning sharper. It will be won by something the enemy doesn't expect. Below him, another Wildcat flies in formation, his wingmen. Close, precise. Every movement calculated. They're not flying like individuals. They're flying like a system. And as the Zeros dive toward them fast, confident, almost eager, you can sense something shift in the air. The hunters believe they've already won. But they're flying straight into something they've never seen before. Something they never trained for. Something that's about to change everything. The distance closes. Engines scream louder. Fingers hover over triggers. And in the split second before the first shots are fired, Thach gives a signal, a simple move. But it's about to turn the sky into a trap. What the Japanese pilots thought would be an easy kill was about to become a deadly mistake. Same moment, same sky, 18,000 feet above Rabaul. The Zeros dive in, fast, precise, and completely unaware they're already inside the kill zone. The first Mitsubishi A6M Zero drops from above, its engine screaming like a predator closing in. The Japanese pilot locks onto the tail of a Grumman F4F Wildcat, confident this will be over in seconds. He's done this before, countless times. Quick turn, tight loop, get behind the enemy, fire, watch them fall. Simple. But this time, something feels different. Lieutenant Commander John S. Thach sees the Zero coming. Every instinct tells him to brake hard, to turn, to fight like every pilot before him. But he doesn't. Instead, he banks gently, almost inviting the attack. His wingman mirrors him. Not randomly, not out of fear, but with exact timing. The Zero pilot smiles. The American is making a mistake. Too slow, too predictable. He pushes forward, tightening his turn to line up the shot. The Wildcat fills his sights. He's seconds away from pulling the trigger. Then suddenly, the Wildcat turns toward its wingman. Not away, toward. For a split second, the Japanese pilot hesitates. Why would he do that? It doesn't make sense. But in combat, hesitation kills. So he commits. And that's when the sky flips. Thach and his wingman cross paths. Tight, deliberate, almost impossibly close. Their flight paths intersect like scissors snapping shut. The pursuing Zero follows, right into the crossing point. And in that instant, the second Wildcat is no longer a wingman. He's now perfectly positioned behind the attacker. Gunfire erupts. Short, controlled bursts. .50 caliber rounds tear through the air, ripping into the Zero's fragile frame. The Japanese aircraft, built for speed and agility, lacks heavy armor. It wasn't designed to take hits like this. Smoke bursts from the fuselage. The hunter becomes the hunted. The Zero tries to pull away, but it's too late. The trap has already closed. This maneuver, this perfectly timed crossing pattern, wasn't instinct. It was planned, engineered, practiced. A tactic designed specifically to counter everything the Zero excelled at. The Thach Weave. Before this moment, no one had seen it used in real combat. It existed only as an idea, something John S. Thach had developed after studying reports, trying to answer one terrifying question. How do you defeat an enemy you can't outfly? His answer? You don't fight alone. Instead of turning tighter, you force the enemy into a predictable path. Instead of chasing, you let them commit. Instead of reacting, you control the engagement. And now, high above the Pacific, that idea is becoming reality. Another Zero dives in, this time more cautious. The pilot has just watched his comrade take fire from nowhere. Confusion replaces confidence. Something isn't right. Again, the Wildcats move together. Again, they cross. Again, the trap snaps shut. The sky, once dominated by the elegance of the Zero, is now shifting into something far more dangerous. A battlefield of coordination, of discipline, of unseen patterns. And for the first time, Japanese pilots are no longer in control. What began as arrogance is quickly turning into uncertainty. And uncertainty, in a dogfight, is the beginning of fear. But the real shock hasn't hit them yet. Minutes later, the same sky now filled with smoke and fragments. Something is wrong, and the Japanese pilots can feel it. Another Mitsubishi A6M Zero spirals downward, trailing black smoke as it disappears into the endless blue below. Just moments ago, the sky belonged to them. Now, it's unpredictable, unfamiliar, dangerous. Inside the cockpit of a Zero, a veteran pilot adjusts his grip. His breathing sharpens. He's fought American aircraft before. He knows their patterns, their weaknesses. Or at least, he thought he did. Ahead of him, two Grumman F4F Wildcat fighters move in perfect sync. Not chasing, not fleeing, waiting. That's what unsettles him the most. They aren't reacting like prey. They're behaving like predators. He dives again, faster this time, determined to break whatever formation they're using. If he can isolate one of them, the fight is over. That's how it always works. Split them, outturn them, destroy them. But as he closes in, something clicks. The Wildcats aren't separating. They're tightening. Once again, they begin that strange crossing pattern. Smooth, calculated, almost like they've rehearsed it hundreds of times. Because they have. Lieutenant Commander John S. Thach had spent weeks developing this maneuver, not in combat but on paper. Using matchsticks on a tabletop, he simulated attack angles, timing, spacing. Every possibility, every weakness. He knew his aircraft couldn't win in a traditional dogfight, so he changed the rules entirely. Back in the air, the Zero pilot hesitates again, but this time it's different. It's not confusion, it's doubt. He tries to break away before the crossing point. Too late. The second Wildcat snaps into position behind him, guns blazing. Tracers rip past his canopy, close enough to feel. He jerks the controls, pulling into a hard turn, his aircraft responding beautifully as always. But agility alone isn't enough anymore. Because no matter where he turns, there's always another Wildcat waiting. This isn't a dogfight, it's a system, a rotating defense, a moving trap, and the more aggressively the Zeros attack, the more vulnerable they become. Across the battlefield, more American pilots begin adopting the same tactic. Pair by pair, they weave through the sky, covering each other, protecting each other, turning every engagement into a calculated risk for the enemy. The psychological shift is immediate. Japanese pilots, once fearless, now approach with caution. They circle longer, they hesitate, they second-guess. And in aerial combat, even a second of hesitation can be fatal. Another burst of gunfire, another Zero falls. The myth is breaking. The idea that the Mitsubishi A6M Zero is untouchable, unbeatable, is collapsing in real time. Not because it's weak, but because it's been outthought. The Wildcats are still slower, still heavier, but now there's something far more dangerous. They're coordinated, and as the battle continues, a chilling realization spreads through the Japanese ranks. They're not fighting individual pilots anymore. They're fighting a strategy. And strategies don't panic. They don't make mistakes. They just keep adapting. But this is only the beginning, because what's happening in the sky won't stay here. It's about to spread across the entire Pacific. And when it does, the balance of power will start to shift. June 4th, 1942. Above the burning waters of Midway Atoll, flames rise from the ocean, and for the first time, the Japanese advance begins to stall. Below, shattered ships burn. Oil slicks spread across the sea like shadows. The air smells of smoke and salt and something else. Change. American fighters climb into the chaos, engines straining as they push toward incoming enemy formations. Among them, the rugged Grumman F4F Wildcat, still not the fastest, still not the most elegant, but no longer underestimated. Inside the cockpit, a young U.S. Navy pilot scans the horizon. His training echoes in his mind. Stay with your wingman. Trust the pattern. Don't break formation, no matter what, because now this isn't just a tactic used by a few. The Thach Weave has spread, pilot to pilot, squadron to squadron. It's no longer experimental. It's doctrine. Across the sky, formations of Mitsubishi A6M Zero fighters approach. Still fast, still deadly, but something has changed. They're cautious, watching, trying to read movements they still don't fully understand. A pair of Wildcats moves forward. Close, tight, connected. The moment a Zero dives in, the Americans begin their now familiar crossing maneuver. But this time, the Japanese pilot doesn't commit immediately. He hesitates, just for a second, and that second costs him everything. The Wildcats tighten their weave, forcing the Zero into a narrow attack window. When he finally commits, it's already too late. Gunfire erupts. The sky flashes. Another aircraft falls. Below, the battle intensifies. Dive bombers scream toward their targets. Anti-aircraft fire lights up the sky. The roar of engines blends into a constant thunder. But above it all, something quieter is happening. A shift in control. Before Midway, Japanese pilots dictated the terms of every engagement. They chose when to attack, how to attack. They controlled the sky. Now, they're reacting. The Wildcats, once dismissed as inferior, are forcing the enemy into defensive thinking. Every approach is risky. Every pursuit could be a trap. The psychological advantage, the invisible edge that once belonged entirely to Japan, is slipping. And at the center of it all is an idea born from necessity, from limitation, from refusing to accept defeat. Lieutenant Commander John S. Thach didn't build a better aircraft. He built a better way to fight. As the battle rages, more Zeros fall, not because they've lost their speed or agility, but because the environment has changed around them. They're no longer hunting isolated targets. They're flying into coordinated defenses, into overlapping fields of fire, into a sky that now fights back. And slowly, steadily, the momentum shifts. The Battle of Midway becomes more than just a clash of fleets. It becomes proof that strategy can overcome superiority, that discipline can break dominance, that even the most feared weapon can be countered. For American pilots, confidence grows. For Japanese pilots, doubt deepens, because now they know the Wildcat isn't just surviving anymore, it's winning. And once that realization sets in, it changes how every future battle will be fought. But this isn't the end of the story, because the Wildcat's success isn't just about one tactic. It's about what comes next. A new generation of fighters, a new level of warfare, and a lesson that will echo far beyond World War II. Late 1943, somewhere over the Pacific. The sky looks the same, but the war inside it has completely changed. The roar of engines cuts through the clouds as a new American fighter surges forward, the Grumman F6F Wildcat. Faster, stronger, built with one purpose: to dominate the very skies that once belonged to the Mitsubishi A6M Zero. But here's the truth most people miss. The Hellcat didn't win the war alone. It inherited something. Every maneuver, every formation, every lesson learned in blood and fire came from pilots who flew before it. Pilots who sat inside the slower, heavier Grumman F4F Wildcat, and refused to accept defeat. The Thach Weave didn't just level the playing field. It rewrote it. By the time newer fighters entered the war, American pilots weren't just relying on better machines. They were flying with a completely different mindset. Team over individual skill, strategy over instinct, control over chaos. And that difference, it was devastating. Japanese pilots, once feared across the Pacific, now found themselves facing opponents who wouldn't fall into predictable patterns. The advantage of agility, once their greatest strength, became less decisive against coordinated attacks and disciplined formations. The sky had evolved, and not everyone evolved with it. You can almost imagine those early encounters, the moment when a Zero pilot dives in, expecting the same easy victory, only to realize too late that he's stepping into a system designed to counter him. That moment, that shock, started here, with John S. Thach, with an idea drawn on a table, with two aircraft flying as one. History often remembers the fastest planes, the most advanced technology, the biggest victories. But sometimes, the real turning point is invisible. Pattern in the sky, a decision not to fight the old way, a refusal to lose on the enemy's terms. The Grumman F4F Wildcat never became the most powerful fighter of the war. But it didn't need to, because for a critical moment in history, it became something far more important. It became the aircraft that proved the Zero could fall. And once that belief was broken, everything else followed. If this story surprised you, imagine how many others are still hidden in history. Do you think strategy matters more than technology in war? Drop your answer in the comments, yes or a no. Like if you learned something new. Subscribe for more untold war stories that change how you see history. Because sometimes, the biggest victories start with being underestimated.